One of the most innovative usage of the transportation system that I've seen across the world. It is the use of our Hey everyone, this is Chirag Joshi. Welcome back to a brand new video on my channel. Right off the bat, this is the first video I'm shooting during these quarantine times and really challenging times. So I hope all of you are safe and healthy inside your homes right now. So am I, you can see it, I'm shooting right from home, not going out anywhere. So yeah, these are tough and challenging times, and it's taken a toll on me equally. I couldn't really create a lot of videos and all of that, but I've chosen to bounce back, and I think I'm here shooting this video for you guys. So yeah, here we are. So today's video is about a live session I did last week on April 7th in the night. It was about, I wanted to know the impact of COVID-19 on shared and public transportation, or just transportation as a whole, because transportation plays a huge role in, how people move around and all of that. So it's a big part of people's lives, and it's also, a place where a lot of people come together in many ways, in buses and trains and metros. So I wanted to know what would be the impact of COVID-19 on transportation in the long term. In the short term, of course, everything is halted, but in the long term, once this lockdown comes to an end. So I wanted to know about that. So I went live on Instagram, and I had a great session with all of my community on Instagram, and I hope you follow me there, and you were part of the session. But unfortunately, I lost the footage. So I decided to make this video, which is a sum up of what and summary of what I actually discussed there into 5 major points. So the number one, before we get into the points, is that people are going to be apprehensive of getting out of their homes even once the lockdown is down. There'll be a good part of the population that does not want to get into crowded trains or any public places or any kind of public transportation for that matter, because it involves a lot of people coming together. So that's going to be one. And actually people are just going to not move out that much as well, because a lot of people will choose to stay home still, and will also choose to not venture out for unnecessary errands or anything, because that was our behavior prior to COVID-19. But after COVID-19, we're all going to be much more aware of how we step out and why we step out of home for whatever it is. So that's going to be a big behavioral change, and on the basis of that, these are the impacts that COVID-19 will have on transportation. So number one is private shared transportation, which includes Ola, Uber, a lot of these carpooling apps, Rapido, Yulu, Mobisai, you name it, all of these guys bunched in together. So this is the first bucket. So what's going to happen? So there are two parts to it. Number one is services like the shared transportation bit of it, which is Ola Share, Uber Pool, Rapido, Quick Ride, all of the carpooling apps. Now they're going to take a major hit, because a lot of people would not want to get into a cab or want other people entering their own vehicles in these tough times, in these very weird times. So they would not want to risk their health just to earn a quick buck or to save time or for any of those things. So services like these are going to take a massive hit. And at least in the short term that I can see, because people are going to be apprehensive to get into these spaces. So that's one bucket. The other bucket is the self-driving ones. The services where people can get out and drive these, like a Yulu or a Mobisai or a Zoom car or a Rev, all these rental ones. The ones that people themselves can drive around and have control over the asset. Those are going to be the services that won't be hit as much. In fact, we'll see a surge as well, because now there will be a requirement of such services around, where people want to move around, not to long distances. That's another thing. People won't be moving a lot of distance. They won't be going 10-15 kilometers as often as they did prior to COVID-19 or coronavirus. They're going to be moving around in shorter distances, maybe less than 5 kilometers, something like that. So for that, services like Yulu or Mobisai or any of these rental companies come very handy. So companies like these are going to experience a exponential growth that they were anyway eyeing in 2020. This situation has come as a boon or a blessing in disguise for these companies. So we'll have to wait and see if people even want to touch these vehicles themselves. But from what I saw of Yulu, they maintain their vehicles very easily, and it's easier to maintain such assets, which are going into lesser hands than say Ola share. We never know how many people sort of come in and go, and who maintains the vehicles and stuff like that. So this is going to be the biggest impact of COVID-19 on private shared transportation. Number 2 is public transportation, which includes buses and metros and everything in between. So buses and metros, I think metros is honestly, I think people don't like the government shouldn't even open up the metro for some time now, because that's a place where people crowd in. Like in places like Delhi and even in other parts of the country where there's a metro running, a lot of people hop into metros, and they're in very close contact. So I don't think it's a good option to open the metro right away. It should be opened sometime down the line. So that's one thing about the metro. About buses, again, buses are also going to be a service that people would not want to take as much, because again, a lot of crowd, a lot of people in one place, so they wouldn't want to risk their lives on that. So this is the public transport. So then what happens? Where do these people who usually take public transportation, how do they commute now? Because commute does not stop. The mode of transportation can shift, but the need for transportation does not go away. So two things there again. Number 1 is people who have a private transportation are going to bank on it much more. Like I have a scooter, so I might be using scooters much more than I would now, because I don't want to risk getting into a sort of vehicle where hundreds of other people are sitting and have touched and all of that, just to maintain hygiene. So that's what's going to happen. People are going to bank on their own private vehicles, the ones who already have them, much more than they already did before. The people who couldn't or don't have public transportation or don't have private transportation like cars or motorbikes or anything, these people are, I think, going to bank on back on the olden days of traveling around, which is bicycles. I think bicycles are going to come back. That's my third point. Bicycles are going to come back in usage because of this major reason, which is public transportation. And second is that it's just convenient to move around. Like you can bike around for say 2 or 3 kilometer distance. And for the ones who have to travel longer distances, like the daily wage workers or anyone else, they're going to now bank more on bicycles, which is what I believe, if they want to sort of take care of their health and hygiene. So bicycles are going to come back in fashion. Bicycle rentals might even start kicking up again from the companies like Zoomcar or a Bounce or these companies who already have bicycle sharing infrastructure around the city. So that's going to come back in fashion and is going to be more in use. Like I would love to bike around right now, because A, there's no traffic on the road as much. B, the air is amazing out there in almost all cities in India. And C, it's just healthier to just bike around and take your cycle somewhere and come back, rather than take your big ass vehicle, right? So bicycles is the third thing that COVID-19 is going to have an impact on a positive note. Bicycles are might come back into fashion. So that's number 3. So number 4 is one of the most innovative usage of the transportation system that I've seen across the world. It is the use of a railway system or a railway or rails and their coaches as isolation wards for COVID-19. Currently, as I'm speaking, we have 40,000 isolation beds that the Indian railway system has managed to convert their coaches into, which is one of the most ingenious ideas. And the reason for that is, imagine a train sitting in Bangalore city, okay? It's sitting in the main station and it's converted into isolation bed. Now imagine a place like Chikbellapur or Tumkur or any of these, Belgaum, any of these places where they don't have as sophisticated healthcare systems as Bangalore does. So instead of now, going to those places, bringing those patients in ambulances or any other mode of transportation in which they, pass different modes of transportation and, probably have a lot of touch points. Now what can happen is the train, which is basically a movable hospital, can go to that city, get those patients in, and then bring them to Bangalore city and also get treated along the way. And that's the most ingenious idea I've seen any transportation system put up, and that too so fast and so in such an efficient manner. I'm not sure if they're in use right now, but this is what has been proposed and it's ready. The Indian Railways has said that they're ready with 40,000 isolation wards and beds in their rails. So that is, I just love that idea, and I think that's one of the best use cases that a transportation system can come off for in this situation that we're in. The traffic is going to be way less because a lot of companies are now going to alter their working habits of their employees. I've already read things like 50% of the workforce has to work from home for the next 1 month or whatever, and a lot of companies now targeting and changing their workforce in that manner in which people can be allowed to work from home. So I think because of that fact, and in a city like Bangalore, because of that fact, a lot of the office going crowd is now going to stay home, or at least a big chunk of it. So that means just less amount of traffic in the peak hours, and hopefully eased congestion in the city. So yeah, COVID-19, as bad as it seems, it has a lot of positive impacts as well on transportation, both negative and positive. But yeah, these are a couple of things that we thought were good enough to be put in the bucket of predictions of what the impact of COVID-19 will be. Again, these are not just my views, there's a lot of views of the people who were part of that live session. Shout out to all of you guys for being there. So these are a couple of the ideas that we discussed and that we thought might be the probable impact of COVID-19 on transportation as a whole. So I hope this made sense, and I hope you fall into one of these buckets that I just mentioned, and that you stay safe. I hope you stay safe while you're planning to commute. Do not step out if you don't need to. Cut down your time of traveling if needed. It remains to see how it will impact actually, but yeah, this is what it is. I hope this video was helpful. Do share it ahead if you liked it, and leave a comment if you had some other thoughts about it. Thank you so much for being a part of this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, bye bye, take care, and be driven differently.